If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
Well, I'll be damned. We're back. It's time for another episode of the Far End of the Bench podcast, episode 151. If you were keeping track, we're calling this one Beyond the Bench. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. For myself, Jimmy Pilato, my co-host, Nico Bryant, who I'll bring in here in a second because we have a few things to get to. It's going to be one of our normal season episodes, so you can expect a lot. If you look down, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button. Be sure to follow us at FEOTB Pod and subscribe to the Variety Sports Network as well, because there's a ton of content now that football season is back upon us. Nico, we got a lot of energy to bring in this one. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Happy if you were listening to this, it's a few days after, but obviously the week kicked off with the 22nd anniversary of the 9/11 terror attacks. You were in New York this past weekend with the PLL, so you were able to do some cool things with that. You checked off one of my bucket list items. I still haven't been able to make it out there, but that's basically where we're going to start. So let's talk about your weekend in New York. And then maybe we'll just lead that into the PLL because I don't feel like going back and forth. But let's start with the weekend in New York and maybe move into, U.S. Open talk because you were able to go to that. We're getting a lot of cool engagement, which is why everybody should follow. And then also checking out that 9/11 memorial. But, man, it's a good one.
Yeah, it was a business trip this past weekend that obviously did not end how I wanted it to. That's how sports goes. That's how life goes. Like, you're not gonna win every single weekend, and sometimes you have your heart ripped out and you get your ass kicked in the semifinals of playoffs. But that happens. We'll touch about that here in a little bit. But overall this weekend, look, I did the most touristy shit you could think of. I flew in Friday, the day before I was supposed to get in, and I went to the U.S. Open Friday night, saw Medvedev versus Alcaraz, which was an absolute thriller of a match. U.S. Open has been a bucket list item for me for a very, very long time. Being there, getting to see the venue, can see everything that's going on was an unreal atmosphere. I was thoroughly impressed with how well everything's done there. It's New York, so the prices of everything is stupid high. I will say, the honeydew drink at the U.S. Open, one of the best drinks I've ever had. Stupid expensive though, $22.
Is there a lot of booze that's flowing? Because I'm interested. Like it's more of an uppity sport, not uppity, but you know what I mean. Like it's a higher class sport. So is the drinking?
It's a lot of booze flowing, but like I said, it's a country club booze. It's not a college football atmosphere booze.
Yeah,
like
so
where
it's not PBR. It's not a keg of PBR. You're getting a bottle of like brandy and that kind of crap, aren't you?
Exactly. That's the best way to put it. But yeah, like I said, look, that venue, that atmosphere, one of the coolest I've ever been to. That is one of the coolest non-Big Four sporting events I've ever been to. I would put that up there with the UFC fights. I'd put that up there with just basically non-Big Four. Nothing will touch obviously football, basketball, hockey, and I'll even say home run derby into that. But like that atmosphere was top notch, absolutely top notch, and I was thoroughly impressed with the product on the court, and then everything going on around it. And obviously I went by myself, so it makes it a little more interesting because I get to basically do whatever the hell I want. They have these earphone things that you put, and you can listen to the commentator talking about it because obviously it's dead quiet in the stadium, so it's kind of it's very eerie. It's just luckily I was on one of like the corners, so I was only going like this. It wasn't that much head movement. Like I wasn't going like this.
I'm just picturing everybody in Happy Gilmore when he hits that last shot. It's ting 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 ting.
Just like back and forth. Yeah, no, it really is a very, very cool atmosphere. So I'm thoroughly impressed. I got my US Open hat on for those watching on YouTube. But yeah,
and for people who don't know, Nico played tennis, and that was always it's one of the first things that
it was my fourth sport. I obviously played the big three: lacrosse, football, and basketball. But tennis was always something I played every summer.
You would definitely. It's funny because even So the skill level is such that if you don't start at like the professional track when you're 6, you have no shot to really make it on the major level. But if you play just a little bit, even at all, you can pretty much wax like a general person. Like me, never picked up a tennis racket before. If Nico and I go out on the tennis court, let me just tell you, I'm not returning. I probably won't return a serve just because I have none of that feel. That's not a part of what I do. So knowing you and knowing that you played tennis, that's obviously the U.S. Open is probably a pretty big deal, and it makes sense that it was on your bucket list.
The next one obviously is going to Wimbledon. That's still number one, number two on my bucket list. That and going to the Masters. So those two are still top of my bucket list. But yeah, U.S. Open. It was very, very cool. It's in Flushing, New York. So obviously, look, the name fits the city, Flushing.
Oh, okay.
It's an absolute dump.
We're
That's
going
all
there.
I'm gonna say.
We're going there. Outside of New York City, there's not a whole lot in New York.
Look,
People don't realize.
The area around the U.S. Open facility, super nice, unreal. You step outside of that because it's right across the field, right across the street from Citi Field was where the Mets play, literally. So like it's not far from everything. But you go into Flushing, you're like, oh fuck, this is why I don't live here. This is why I can never live in New York. So yeah, and look, New York hit me like a damn brick wall. I had my credit card. $300 couple rooms taken on it because people stealing cards. I had look everything you could think.
There's
of.
a lot of that going around. I had a student today that told me his car got broken into, but I was listening to a show just a couple weeks ago, and they were like, it was one of the Barstool shows, and he was talking about being at the hotel. He ordered room service. And then after he ordered room service, he got a call like 2 minutes later on the hotel phones, like, hey, man, your card didn't go through. And he didn't put 2 and 2 together. Like, I'm staying on a company room. It's on a company card. Why would they need my card information? And there was somebody at the hotel that's using the food service as a scam. So, I mean,
yeah,
be careful.
There's big cities. People do anything for a couple bucks. I'll tell you that. Someone in Flushing, New York, had a nice hotel room for $300 on my fucking tab.
The Plaza Hotel. I bet you they ordered a large cheese pizza just for them too, hoping to see Donald Trump.
Those fuckers. It is New York for you. I'll tell you that. That's why I always wanted to. Part of me always wanted to live there, but part of me is always like, no, absolutely.
It would be a big commitment. It's a huge commitment. Being just in one place where there's that many people, it's unnerving. Because honestly, walking down the street, like you have to keep everything in your front pockets, and you are literally never outside of 2 feet within another person because there's just so many people and not that much space. That's a lot of people.
And trying to get around, like literally something 3 miles away is a 30-minute drive. Like that's like the subway system is obviously a blessing, but I had to take the subway 3 or 4 times on Monday when I wandered around, and it literally felt like a scene straight out of Batman. Is what I was telling my coworkers. It was like, where's Rachel and where is Bruce Wayne about to pop out in the slums of New York, because this is going to get bad, is all I'm going to say. It's going to get very, very bad. And it looks like I lost Jimmy for a second. He'll be right back. But I'll go ahead and talk about the 9/11 memorial now, because like I said, for those, like Jimmy opened the show with 22-year anniversary of 9/11. Being there in person obviously had a big effect on me. Being there, seeing the venue, seeing everything around there is something to take in. Obviously, the story, the people that know the Wells Crowther story, they're handing these out wrong way. They're handing these out at the PLL game on Sunday. Wells Crowther. If you don't know the man in the red bandana story, it's basically it's Wells Crowther. He was a college lacrosse player for Boston College, firefighter that went up and saved a lot of lives in that South Tower on that day. And a lot of people saying guy in red bandana is a real hero. 12 recorded lives saved, many more obviously that he affected. But being there, seeing his name, seeing everything around that, it just took your breath away. And obviously, look, it's a tough moment for a lot of people, but it's a moment we can also look back and think of how great we have it and cherish everything we have around you. So being at that facility, being at the World Trade Center and seeing the two towers and the two pools, I believe it's called, it really takes your breath away. So I had been there before, long time ago, but never obviously on 9/11, and being there and paying respects was special. Obviously, it's important to always remember those who lost their lives, as well as all those heroes that are maybe still alive, or those passed away too. Because, like I said, it's a day in our country that we all really need to unite over, because it's something that we should never forget.
It was such a tragic situation, and the fact that, you know, it was the last time that the country really had been united all as one. We all had a common goal at that point, which was to get back into some form of normalcy, and sports helped a lot with that, which is why Nico and I like doing this show every week. Obviously, like today has been a day. I just got myself kicked out of Chrome for no reason. Thank God I was able to come back, and Nico, you know, he adapted and everything like that. But like right now, I mean, nowadays it is very divisive, and that's one of the things. It's always nice to remember on 9/11, and we weren't that old when it happened, so it's not like I have a huge memory of everything, but just when you look back on the stories, and I resonate a lot with the Pat Tillman story, where 9/11 happens. He's a multimillionaire about to make millions and millions of dollars being an NFL star, and he decides to drop all that and enlist in the armed services. And obviously Chris Kyle had similar motivations all the way out to lone survivor Marcus and his brother, the Trail twins. They would not have been in the Navy SEALs, and I'm sure that's still true today. There's a lot of people that are in the armed services that wouldn't be in that situation if 9/11 hadn't happened. So as bad as it is, it's a good day to remember. It's obviously a day that not many people are ever going to be able to forget. Since Pearl Harbor, it's the biggest attack of a foreign group on American soil, and hopefully nothing ever tops it. We're a lot more vigilant now, but it's not something that you can just sniff past.
And like I said, if you're ever in the New York area, I would very, very highly recommend going.
That's the one that I said was on my bucket list. I need to get out there.
It's very, very impactful. The museum wasn't open on the day of. I think they tried to not open that up so it doesn't get swarmed so crazy, and everybody can do it peacefully and see everything and just take it in. But like I said, I highly recommend everyone going there, paying their respects, because like I said, it's important to remember those who lost their lives, and it's important to remember those heroes like Wells, like the Pat Tillmans, Chris Kyle, that came from this moment. Because like I said, that it's important to, like I said, the freedoms you and I have to do things, and the freedoms everyone in this country has, does not come without a cost. And I'm like I said, I'm very, very proud to be an American, and I'm very, very proud to be able to be there and cherish in the moments of a solemn and paying my respects to those that we lost.
So that if you have somebody that was affected, if you yourself were affected and you're checking out the show, we're thinking about you on that day. We obviously, I'm going to be doing a lesson in my class. By the time this episode comes out, I'll already have done it, but I definitely try and keep that in the forefront, because now the kids that I'm teaching were born a decade after it happened.
Crazy.
So,
crazy.
I kind of got to teach them firsthand. And a lot of them, like on the day of, I took a few questions, and one of them was like, my teacher said that his teacher turned it on and they watched it. I was like, yeah, it was a real thing, because it happened. And when the first plane hit, people were still thinking, oh, it was a glitch. Like the pilot must have had something wrong. It's terrible. Hopefully they're able to fix it. And then CNN caught that second tower as soon as that plane made impact. And that's when people were like, oh, shit, this is something different. So there's millions of stories. Hopefully, if you were affected, or if your family was affected, you were able to get through. And obviously, there's a lot of respect for those who went and paid that sacrifice and were able to help out in that situation. Never easy to transition out of a topic like that, especially when now we have to talk about what we were dreading having to talk about, which is the end of the Redwoods run. We're continuing our PLL coverage. I said we would. I was the one saying that if the Redwoods were to fall in the playoffs, didn't make it to the championship round, we would keep our updates, because I know that we have some new listeners coming in. And now semifinals, Nico, let's talk about it. You were out there in New York. You guys were the first game of the weekend and unfortunately fell to the number 1 seeded Archers 14-6 on Sunday. It was also broadcast on ESPN. Did you feel the ABC, excuse me. Yeah. Did you feel the difference in it being a nationally televised game? Obviously it's a playoff, so it's going to feel different also, but just let's talk about that because it's one of the first times like the national affiliate picked up a PLL game, and it was on
our first game of the year was on ABC, and I think we played 2 or 3 more on ABC, or maybe we played one more on ABC. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Not while rivaling the NFL, though.
Yeah, not while rivaling the NFL, obviously. And look, we'll talk about football here in a moment, but I did not watch a second of the Broncos game. I did not watch a second of any other game on Sunday outside the Sunday night game because of my team playing. So like I said, Jimmy will help me carry that when we get to that point. But I look, it sucks when season ends. It doesn't matter what sport it is, doesn't matter what happens. When that locker room, more than likely, will never again be together, whether it be guys moving on to free agents, guys retiring, whatever it may be, who knows. That locker room will never be back together. And I've spent the last 5 months every week with these guys. So it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. It didn't hit me until I was on the flight Tuesday home. That I'm not going to see those guys possibly again. Like, it's going to be a very long time until I hear from them again. Obviously, we'll be a champ series in February, but that's a long ways away. It's very, very, very weird and very sad. But like I said, I'm very, very proud of these guys. Very, very proud of that team. There's a lot of resilience. Obviously, we worked our way up to a top 4 seed. We had a 4-game win streak going into obviously this past weekend's game in Long Island. This team just unfortunately just fell short. And like I said, I'm not going to sit here and point fingers and everything, but I'm very, 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 very proud of everyone in that locker room and the guys that came to work every single week, and every single person that's put on the green and yellow. So like I said, it's sad. It's a tough situation. We played a very good team. The Archers are a great team. They now face the Water Dogs, who I think will be a very, very good matchup in the finals. Probably the 2 best teams in the league the last couple of weeks, especially the last 5 or 6 weeks of the regular season. It's sad that we're not there, but this is something that we can build on, obviously, to next year and going forward. With lots of things moving forward, there's lots of possibilities to take that next step and see where we can be.
It was a hell of a turnaround because I remember talking after Connecticut, after Fairfield, and you were like, that sucked. We scored 3 goals. It rained the entire time. It was miserable. Since then, the team, we talked about it. Only one team gets to finish in a good place. Only one team gets to finish satisfied. And in professional sports, it's the unfortunate reality. It's a business. You guys probably won't be around if things don't go well. And even if they do, we're going to see a lot of turnover with good teams as well. So the Redwoods being able to finish the season the way they did, I feel like they solidified their top 4 status in the PLL, winning and making it into the semis because they're one of the last 4 teams left playing. And the other thing that the semifinal showed us, because you mentioned the Water Dogs, they beat the Cannon 17-6. The teams that won and will be playing in the championship, not this weekend, but next weekend in Philadelphia,
yep,
they definitely earned their spot. I mean, they won the semis the way that they needed to. They proved that they should be. They're the top 2 teams in the league for a reason. And I'm expecting fireworks. I'm sure that's what the pundits are expecting too.
Yes, it's going to be a very, very good game. And both teams are very, very high-powered offense. 2 of the hottest goalies right now in Dobson and Ward. And look, both teams, they dominate like 14-6. That was a much closer score than the other game. I believe it was like 19-5 or something stupid like that. It was a 18-3 score at one point in that Water Dogs versus Cannons game, which is sad to see. Obviously, after season ending, but like these 2 teams, you have defending champs against the number 1 team throughout the whole year facing off against one another. So it's going to be a very, 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 very good matchup, and very, very, like I said, it's going to be very high quality across. And like I said, it takes nothing away from my team. But the Archers just were that good this year, and Connor Fields, Tom Schreiber, obviously the MVP, Dobson, and company have all done just an absolute great job of getting that team to the point where they can reach their first ever championship. So it's going to be a very good game in my opinion. And like I said, I'll save my I'll save my opinion of who's going to win until next week. But because I'm still trying to reel in this past season and our season being done because it's very brutal. But like I said, I'm proud of my guys. I'm proud of the team. And look, this is a team last year that lost in the quarterfinals. That was one of the 3 worst teams in the league. And look, yes, there's only 8 teams in the league, but to get yourself to a point where you're in the semis and you gave yourself some momentum in the playoffs. This is a much different team than last year, and I have all the confidence in the world that this team can take this next step either next year or the year after. And like I said, hopefully I can be a part of it for long term.
There's a lot of good things to build on. Last thing that I'll ask, and then we can move on and start talking a little bit of football. We're going to go into college football before we get into the NFL. Is the Champ Series roster going to be the same, or can there be additions or changes made?
It's 95% offensive guys. I think there's only 15 guys instead of 19. I honestly don't know. That's something I got to figure out too and help with. That our coaches will obviously figure out the roster and everything, but it's a very short roster. And with the NLL season obviously being in the middle of it, certain guys can play, certain guys can't play. So we'll see what that roster looks like. Like I said, Paul Rabel announced during halftime of our game, or it might have been halftime of the second game, that the cities will be announced in November. So that's very, very exciting. We'll see where I'm at. I'm hoping for Denver. We'll see. Just please, I'm not going to say please don't stick me somewhere, but there's some places that I definitely have circled, and some places that I'm like, please don't do that.
Maybe that's going to be. We'll have to take a look at. I'll have a list of the host cities. We'll save that because that's good content around Thanksgiving time, and we'll see possible destinations, pros and cons. Pros and cons of where Nico may end up, and then after it gets announced, we'll have a live update. Be like, okay, we are going to be living in Dallas.
See, Dallas is a spot that I would not mind. I'll just say that there's some. I'll look. First of all, I don't want to move the East Coast. Is all I'm gonna say, and I don't want to have to deal with a lot of East Coast bullshit. Is all I'm gonna say. Let's just say West Coast is much easier for me. So that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say to that.
West Side. All right, let's get into
the Redwoods. Is a team name that's trees, and trees are not. There's not a damn tree outside of artificial trees in New York. Okay, so it's gonna be hopefully West Coast. And I know
what if it was Virginia.
Has a lot of trees.
Virginia's technically East Coast, but it's a little bit more inland. Is Virginia bearable?
That is bearable. Virginia, like I said, southern East Coast, that might be helpful. Virginia isn't really like that. You know what I mean? Like it's still.
I will tell you from personal experience, it gets hot and humid just as much, even if you're not on the water. But
Jimmy, you're killing me right now, buddy. Is all I'm gonna say.
I do hope. Selfishly, I hope that the Redwoods end up as the Denver team. Selfishly, obviously, it's better because then we'll be able to. It won't have to make trips to see each other in person. We could literally. We're 20 minutes away from each other right now. It won't affect the podcast. Everything will continue rolling.
I don't want to think about having to move right now. Let's just hope that it's Denver Redwoods. Is all I'm going to say.
We'll wait. We'll save it till November, but we do hope that it is going to be somewhere close. Let's start talking about something that is close to home, and we said that it was probably going to happen this way. I don't think that this win is a surprise. I know you said it was a definite. I said, and what I will say, what I was mentioning did play out to be true for at least that first half. It was an ugly start to the game, and I will go with what the guy who called the game said. I listen to his show weekly. He's one of my favorite opinions in all of college football, but Joel Klatt said it. They were able to handle and kind of kick the shit out of Nebraska, and they did not play well. Shedeur Sanders struggled in the first half. He was not in the same rhythm that he was against TCU, but guess what? It didn't matter. And that's how you know that this isn't a fluke, because if they would have played 2 perfect games and we have a 2-0 record, whether the score looked the same or not, you're like, man, when is that bubble going to burst? The pumpkin's going to turn – the carriage going to turn back into a pumpkin. Right now, there is no pumpkin. There is no carriage because they didn't play well. They probably could have either had that game closer, possibly been in a situation to lose, or win it bigger. It could have been a 50-point blowout with as bad as Nebraska's offense was. Because let's call it spade a spade. Nebraska is a terrible offensive football team. That is a terrible. Their defense, decent. Offense, it's putrid. They could probably not even score in high school football. is how bad they are.
Unless your name's Will Compton, you see this team as how bad they are is plain simple. And everyone's like, no, Nebraska's a Big Ten team. The CU's a Pac-12 school. Like they're gonna fucking run through them. No, absolutely not. And look, I called it before the season started. I said Nebraska is easily a win. I said TCU would be a tough one. I said Nebraska easily win. Deion Sanders' first home game, absolutely. And from the very, very start, look, it was a close game. It was a lot closer than it should be. CU played a terrible game to start. They poured it on when they needed to. That's why my belief in this team is so high. Is because look, they were able to battle a very good defensive Big Ten team. Yeah. Very good defensive Big Ten team. Obviously, terribly offensive. Obviously, very, very terrible on the offensive side of the ball. But CU just said, you know what, we're going to play this grind out, gritty game, and we're going to pour it on when we need to. I believe the final score was 36-10 or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think it's 36-10.
Either way, it was 10-10. You wheel off 26 points in a row in the second half, and you just poured on and just put that nail in that coffin and all that red that was in Boulder on Saturday morning. So look, it was a statement win. You beat two primetime programs back to back. Right? Like, look, say what you want to say about Nebraska the last 10 years because they've been awful. Those are two programs that you're like, this puts CU directly on.
You can measure yourself against those programs. You can measure yourself as your own, like where you're going, and you can see your trajectory after you play those teams as well as you did. Because TCU, as much as people want to say they're not the same team, and they aren't, they're not as good as they were when they made the final last year. But it's still, they were ranked in the top 25 to begin the season for a reason. And now, when you look at that 18 next to CU's name, that 18 is meaning something. That changes. It's the whole script of college football right now has changed. Because if you're Oregon, if you're USC, if you're UCLA, you used to see CU Buffaloes on your schedule be like, yes, thank you. That is, whether or not we may struggle for like a quarter, but they're not good enough to actually hang with us. We'll still be able to score 30. Well, right now, like that team, and here's my other thing that I want to mention about this game too, and I'm sure you saw the videos of Shadur after and the videos of Nebraska before the game. The fact that they love CU to the point where it is personal to them when you stand on their logo. It is personal when you try and disrespect them on their home field. And he said it in his post-game press conference. Like, I have a lot of love for that logo right now. That logo is what brought me out of the HBCU, out of the FCS level, and I'm in a Division I in a Power 5 program. And if it happens to be a miraculous season, and I'm still not calling for a miraculous season. Right now, I'm saying 7-8 wins is your benchmark. If you get to 8, that's about where you probably should be with what I'm seeing out of Coach Prime. But if it goes on a miraculous season, it would be a very damn good story because these guys love CU to the point where you could tell these guys understand the position that they're in is because Coach Prime and CU made an agreement. And here's the thing. We don't have to pay Coach Prime because he's got an almond deal that runs at every commercial for every quarter of his games. He's making money when he's not even on the screen as a coach. It's ridiculous. It's an awesome situation. It's cool to be a close to CU, a CU affiliate right now. I'm not a CU fan. I don't have any family ties. Nico's the CU fan of the show.
And look, like the wave of difference, like look, Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders and Deion Sanders did not give two fucks about the University of Colorado less than a calendar year ago. They did not. Once that opportunity came up, they took this program to a whole nother level. They didn't have to hate Nebraska. They don't have to respect the logo as much as they do. They don't. Because look, they've had no ties, but they've come in and they've bought in and be like, you know what, this is ours. And you do that something to that logo, you're doing something to me personally. And taking that personally and taking that the way they are, it's something that like see University of Colorado and CU in general has been waiting for a very long time. Jimmy, the national coverage of this team, people are saying overhyped. Every single look, it is the biggest story in college football. It is the biggest story in college football. Look. I don't know if we love talking about TV ratings when it comes to football versus basketball. Do you know what TV ratings CU versus Nebraska beat this past weekend?
I do. Are you talking other college football games that it beat?
College football games.
Yeah, Alabama, Texas.
Yes.
It outdid Alabama, Texas by a long shot.
The University of Colorado versus Nebraska. Number ranked 20th ranked team, or maybe it was 21st, whatever 22nd, it was ranked. 22nd ranked going into the season versus Nebraska team who has been irrelevant for the past 20 years. Outwatched a Nebraska or University of Alabama football team, and who has won national championship after national championship in their lifetime, against the University of Texas, which is one of the powerhouses.
We had Matthew McConaughey on the sideline. They did everything they could to draw viewers to that game.
They out-viewership that. College Game Day will be there against for the Rocky Mountain Showdown, Jimmy.
College Game Day and the Big Noon Kickoff. They're having
For the
both
Rocky Mountain
ESPN and
Showdown.
Fox. Yeah, for the Rocky Mountain Showdown. It's a Mountain West school versus a Pac-12 school, Nico. These two conferences don't exist after this season, and that's what they're coming here. They're lining up both nationally broadcast pregame shows to be here. Pat McAfee and Joel Klatt will be in the same vicinity.
How can you not love this? How can you not love this? If you look, Colorado is right in my opinion right now, and it's very hard to argue, is the epicenter of American sports right now. University of Colorado on top of the world. Colorado Avalanche won a Stanley Cup a year ago. The Denver Nuggets world champions. Fuck me if you want to argue about that. Thank you, Jimmy. Exactly. See, read that. World champions. I don't care what anyone says. We'll have that conversation for another day. Like Colorado right now is entirely on the map, and we don't want to talk about the Broncos and Rockies. We'll leave that for a later conversation. But what CU is doing right now needs to be talked about. It absolutely needs to be talked about. I don't know how long Dion's going to be the coach there, because the man probably will be an NFL coach within a calendar year or 2 years. But I'm going to enjoy the hell out of this ride. Is all I'm going to say. So and what he has built, because. Look, University of Colorado football was dead, was very, very much dead. If you don't remember, good old Mel Tucker, the guy who has a lot of allegations against him currently.
Yeah, he's currently suspended with pay.
Yeah, he is currently in the dumps as it is. Left this program and basically left it to die. And everyone's like, CU will never recover. CU will never recover. Less than 2 years later, I believe, maybe it was 3 years, however long it was since Mel Tucker left. This program is the most talked about program in college football. That is crazy, absolutely crazy to me. And that's the primetime effect.
And I don't see it as a flash in the pan like it was back in 2016 when they made it to the Pac-12 championship against Washington. That team, they had a great season, but that wasn't sustained success. That coaching staff wasn't in place. And I don't worry about Prime leaving to go to the NFL, because it's different. Like, some guys, and I think Prime is one of those guys with everything that you see. I don't know if you saw the story going into week 2. One of the players, his dad is incarcerated, and Prime, even though his dad was not in the home during his recruiting, talked to the guy's dad, talked to the kid, like, I'm going to try and teach you how to be a man. I'm going to put you in a position to get your degree. I'm going to give you all of these opportunities. And so far, Prime has delivered on all of those. He has the #1 recruit in the country coming to watch USC when they come to Folsom Field. When's the last time that we could say a #1 recruit in the entire nation? ESPN's top 150 list, he's #1. He's coming to Folsom to watch USC play CU.
It's absolutely crazy, Jimmy. It's and like I said, look, Prime has done an absolute excellent job, and if he does leave, which all things are pointing to him eventually leaving to the NFL, but do you not think that there's an assistant coach on his staff, that offensive coordinator that they got from Akron? I forgot his name. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he will more likely be the guy that steps right in. You don't think that he'll put this program back on the Big 12 map, where it's contending for Big 12 championships going forward? Absolutely, it will be. Even like I said, this is a movement, and this is the Coach Prime effect that is crazy to think that he came to small little town of Boulder and have done this much change in this short amount of time.
I would just hope we keep getting to hear his theme music. That's what I hope for. And I hope that the city of Boulder embraces the good team this time, and not like it was back in the 90s where they're harassing their good players when they're not on the field. That was bad. That was a bad look. I don't know if you've seen that 30 for 30, but
I'm almost positive that Travis Hunter is an absolute king on that campus. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
As it should be. We are going to stick with football. It's time for the pick'em. We're going to recap our picks from week 1. You're lucky that you had that head start on me, because the way things ended up, we would have been tied. But right now, so the games that we picked last week, Thursday Night Football, the kickoff game, Lions Chiefs. Obviously, the Lions won that one by a point. I think
we call the spade a spade is all I'm going to say. We know what we're talking about here, okay, ladies and gentlemen? We know what we're talking about. Believe in the Detroit fucking Lions, baby. Come on.
And don't believe in
Jimmy.
don't believe in Kadarius Toney. If you need something caught, do not throw it at Kadarius. Don't throw it to Stone hands. That was bad.
Don't throw it to Kadarius Stoney hands. That's all I'm going to say.
The Bengals Browns, obviously, we both lost that one. That was.
I'm sorry, I didn't watch the second of the game, but that did not look good. So obviously, you could touch more on that.
That made me want to vomit while I had to watch it. That was unfortunate.
I did say last week I was like expect like possibly a week 1 blunder. I did say
apparently that's their new thing. We're now the Browns where we cannot win it because last year they played like absolute garbage.
4 weeks in a row. It's 4 weeks in a row you've lost week 1 badly. I think.
Yeah.
Since we started the show, I don't think you've won a week 1 game. I don't think.
No, and I was gonna say it's been about a calendar year since we had to come on and do the pick'em and talk about both of our teams losing and not looking the way that we wanted them to look. I texted you. I was so upset. I was mad. I made that video at halftime thinking this is a second half team. They're definitely going to come out and play better, right? It's not going to get worse. But it got worse.
The videos I saw, Jimmy, that offensive line looked horrendous, buddy.
The offensive line, they didn't look good from the start. Joe Burrow threw for 82 yards.
T. Higgins basically
T. Higgins didn't have a reception.
He was out there getting his conditioning in.
Yeah, he had 0 receptions. Your big 3 that we're arguing who's going to get the money now and who's going to stick around in the first half, between the 3 of them, I think they had 2 catches and they were both Jamar Chase. Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins had 0 receptions in the first half. And I'll go back to it and I will continue to harp on it. I talked about it on Talking the Gridiron. So you got my full emotional live reaction because I somehow subjected myself to that after watching this debacle. 1 for 8 on 3rd downs in the first half. 1 for 8. Your defense played good up to a point, but when you continually put them out, you at 24 to 3 seems expectable when you literally don't convert 7 times. They converted their first 3rd down, didn't convert another for the first half. And I think it took them until the 4th quarter until they converted their second one after they pulled Joe Burrow, who they just paid $275 million to.
And look, this is the Pat McAfee show has a saying, overreaction Monday. We're basically overreaction every week. But look, it's 1 week. Things can obviously change very, very quickly. But like I said, that's not something you want to see as a week 1 for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. Is all
especially it's an in-conference, in-division loss. That looks terrible if we finish with the same record towards the end of the season. And this weekend, it's your home opener. And we'll talk about it. It's one of the games that we're picking for week 2, but it's an in-conference, in-division game. If you go 0-2 to start off against your conference, you are putting yourself – they've been on the back foot the last 3 years when they've made it to the playoffs and the runs. This would be the biggest back foot start of all time. I would honestly almost just like
don't
get anybody hurt. Don't get anybody hurt, but let's not –
yeah, you don't ship it in after 2 weeks is all I'm going to say. Because look, you look around, we'll talk about the rest of the games, but you look at all the other powerhouses in the AFC, Jimmy, they all lost. Chiefs lost, Bills lost.
Apparently those aren't the powerhouses because they didn't look good.
Like the 3 of the final 4 teams AFC.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
I can't remember who the last team was. Oh, Jaguars barely
won. Yeah.
So like the powerhouse, look, it's as wide open as possible, and I'm not gonna, and I'm trying to calm you down as much as possible. That's my job here at this point.
If you win last week, you're on such a better foot to actually get the 1 seed and maybe host an AFC Championship game for a change. That was all I was saying. That's why I was crying the big crocodile tears after Sunday.
Welcome to week 1 overreaction Thursday.
I'm still sticking with them, but I'm not happy about it. I also have a whole bunch of little jerks in my class that wanted nothing more than to walk in and go, oh my God, I started Joe Burrow. Yeah, so did I. I drafted Joe Burrow in one of my leagues. I started him. Guess how many points he got me? You want to guess?
Probably, I think it was like 8 points, maybe
1.80. I don't know what the hell. It was Terrell's league. Yeah, I had him and Jamar Chase, and I got like a total of 4 points between the 2 of them.
That's a bummer, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then I was in that league. I had Brandon Ayuk, who caught 2 touchdowns, but guess who threw them? My opposing team's quarterback, Brock Purdy.
Yeah. And look, the worst part about your team losing is that you have to deal with about 500 little shits and hopefully look, it's me saying this to all our listeners. It's not Jimmy saying this.
I put the warning at the beginning of the podcast. They know.
And like you have to deal with them giving you shit every week for it. So that's probably the worst part about it. But like I said, I still have confidence in this team, Jimmy. You just got, and it's a bad loss. It absolutely is. But maybe the Browns are for real. And look, it did not help that Myles Garrett was basically doing a crossover on his way to putting pressure on Joe Burrow. That was one of the funny things I did see. And look, I'm not condoning Browns love here because I don't like the Browns because you don't like the Browns.
It sucked worse.
But then again, you also picked the fucking Raiders against me. So
and
you know
guess what?
I won. I know you won, but still, I was a friend last week.
Was
I'm
there
a friend right now?
Was there a predator playing quarterback for the Raiders too, or was that just Jimmy G? That's why I couldn't pick. That's why you can't pick the Browns. I know that you're a good friend. I'm not taking that away from you, but there is a part of you that is also like, I can't pick the Browns because of you know who, and you know who had an actually decent game and looked like he's going to be a problem for the Cleveland's. I didn't want it to sound like I wasn't giving them any credit because they did what they needed to win. I'm not going to take that away from them. But the Bengals did everything possible to help them. So you won, but it's not like 110%. So that one sucked. Obviously, we're moving into the Raiders and Broncos next. Broncos lose by a point in Sean Payton's debut, 17-16.
Oh, how funny it is that you don't pay a kicker and you have all this extra cap space just sitting on your books right now because you decided, we don't need McManus. Well, let's go pick up Will Lutz out of New Orleans because he's a Sean Payton guy and he's going to be a great addition. And it's very fitting that the Broncos scored 16 points is all I'm going to say. And like I said, I didn't watch the second of the game. I'll watch obviously a lot more games going forward. But like I said, it sucks. It sucks, especially losing week 1 to the Raiders in a game that you easily could have won, in my opinion, with based upon everything that I saw. So, it's another Broncos country. Welcome back. Nothing has changed.
Welcome back to the ride.
No, nothing has changed. And look, I'm gonna tell you right now, if look, this is more of an overreaction than what you were talking about, how the Bengals are done for and all that, which is obviously very exaggerated. There's a real possibility if I see that Russell Wilson every week, Jared Stidham will be the starting quarterback by week 8. And that's a real conversation. If I see that, and if Sean Payton sees that another 3-4 weeks, he's gonna fucking pull the trigger so quick. And because there's no time, because right now if you can't fix Russ, then no one can at this point, and it's time to move on and go from there. So we'll see, because like I said, you still have your first round pick next year. I remind everyone that the next year's first round pick is still there. So if you fucking suck this year, there is a possibility good old number 13 for USC will be available. Hell, even number 2, Shedeur Sanders could also.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got a guy in our backyard.
So there's some possibilities there for the future. Is all I'm gonna say. So we'll see. And Russell Wilson, your clock is ticking because look, there's no not complaints. What's the right word? There's no
job security.
There's no job security, and there's no excuses anymore. Like we have done everything we can to set you up perfectly, and if you can't do it anymore, then it's time to move on. So, and that may be the biggest week 1 overreaction of the week that we're already moving on from Russell Wilson. But that's how upset I am with us losing to the Raiders, and that's how all Broncos country and Sean Payton should feel about losing to Josh McDaniels' dumbass and the Raiders.
I will say my parents were at the game. They said that the calls were a little like Pat Surtain got called on a couple pass interferences, and not to say that you call it based on the player, but you can almost guarantee Pat Surtain is probably just able to cover everybody in the league without interfering with them, especially guys on the Raiders. He could cover Devontae Adams and without actually drawing a penalty. So that's one thing. And I will say it looked better because it couldn't have worked. It almost worked out perfectly for you. If the Broncos win this weekend and they look better with Sean Payton, and then same thing happens with the Jets where we actually have to see it. I told you, if Aaron Rodgers is in, Aaron Rodgers is calling plays. If he's not in, Nathaniel Hackett is the offensive coordinator, and we saw the exact same offense that we saw out of the Broncos for 10 weeks last year in the Jets game. So the Broncos offense, for as much as you're still disappointed, if you scored 20 points over the last 3 years, I think you have like 30 wins over the last 3 seasons instead of 5, 6, 15 maybe. if you count all 3 of those years combined, it's still better than it could have been. It's still better than it was.
I agree, and it's very fitting that obviously the Jets, outside of the punt return touchdown, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, scored 16 points offensively, which like I said, 16. No, the people who didn't listen to the show and don't know anything about Broncos football was the Broncos could not score more than 16 points all last year at all. It was like the standard of like, fuck, how do we get over the hump?
Standard, yeah, 16
yeah,
points.
How do we get over 60 points? Like, hell, let's get to 17 points at this point. It was a running joke, and it's very fitting that we lost week 1 with scoring 60 points, is all I'm going to say. And like I said, look, you have a chance to turn things around this upcoming weekend. I don't know. I have no idea what the Commanders did week 1, but like I said, you have a chance to turn things around. We'll see what this team looks like this upcoming week.
The Commanders are coming off a win. They beat the Cardinals, so I don't know as much as you
Who's
can
also
count a win
tanking.
against the Cardinals.
Sure,
and it was closer than it should be. And you got Sam Howell, who's making his first year as a starter. So there's good things that we can talk about. And when we get to the betting lines that I talk about when we get to week 2 of the pick'em, that'll be interesting too. I know you're not talking about them. I'm talking.
No, I can now, Jimmy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I can.
That's right.
Yeah, I can now. I'm not. I may take a little break, but I can now. So that's the fun part, I guess. The one caveat is I can go back to my degenerate ways. I guess I can turn back into Phil Mickelson and bet on stupid shit.
Speaking of degenerates, who the hell let Sunday Night Football continue after it was 33-0? It's TVMA. It wasn't late enough for that to be on my television screen. I can't be watching something like that happen. The Giants, they made me look like a moron. I don't know football, apparently. I have no clue. I picked the Bengals and the Giants were like my 2 dead locks of the first week of the season. And 40 piece at home on Sunday Night Football, first week of the season. You just paid Daniel Jones all this money and made a big deal out of paying Saquon for another year. And, oh, man. Brian Daboll couldn't even save that team. That's how piss poor that was.
And look, Daniel Jones, the fact that they kept running him out there was hilarious to me. Like you just paid this guy all this money. 30-0, don't try him back out there. Like, look, it was on cue when Chris Collinsworth was talking about, yeah, man, like Daniel Jones, look, there's going to be a lot of respect toward Daniel Jones for standing in that pocket and keep getting it. Oh, and he just got hit again. It was on cue with how many times he got just fucking wrecked by this Cowboys defense. And the Cowboys defense is not to joke about. They are a very, very good defense. That has never, ever been the problem. It's been their offense. And look, this offense looks very, very good, obviously. But the fact that this Giants team coming off a playoff from last year, a lot of hope, and Saquon is basically a non-factor. Daniel Jones cannot get the ball off in 2 seconds. There's going to be a lot of problems. This Giants offensive line looks absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. It may be one of the worst offensive lines in football. So we'll see if their defense, which is, in my opinion, very much improved, see if their defense can figure it out to get themselves in a situation where they're a good football team and not back in the playoffs. But getting 40 piece by division rival, Jimmy, I think that's much worse than what you had to deal with. Nearly just as bad. Like that. Look, Giants fans right now are like burn the ship down right now. They did not have a good weekend. That's all I'm going to say.
RIP to everybody who picked the over in that game too, because it was 46.5. So if the Giants could have just scored one measly touchdown, you would have cashed with a point to spare. So if you bet the over on Sunday Night Football, you should have, because life's too short to bet the under. That was a little disappointing. Like, you can't score once, just one time, please. Or the Cowboys, just score again, keep scoring. Just give me over that 46.5, please.
Absolutely crazy. 40-0. Absolutely crazy. That's a score that like holding a team to 0 points is very hard to do.
Yeah,
beating a team that badly is even more difficult. So that's just wild. And look, all kudos to the Cowboys because the defense looked absolutely incredible. And look, Dak Prescott made the right plays, and that offense looked very, very good. Tony Pollard looks like he's going to be a very good RB1. So we'll see what they look like going forward. But that looks like a good Cowboys team. And we didn't talk about Alabama, Texas, but I'm sorry for those that live in Texas that aren't locals, because the amount of Texas is back and the Cowboys are winning the Super Bowl takes was probably miserable. Is all I'm going to say. I feel bad for y'all down there. Is all I'm going to
say. We shouldn't say they're back anymore. If you say they're back, it's cursed. Don't say we're back. Don't do that. And I still think Jerry
yeah.
Jones' words are going to come back and bite the Cowboys in the ass sooner than later.
Which words? Which words? The AI that's going to run the team when he passes away eventually. That's in Cowboy Stadium, or the one that's actually standing there.
If you're Steven Jones, how badly do you feel that your dad's like, "Yep, nope. When I die, I want the robot Jerry to take over the team." Robot Jerry for the win.
It's a very good chance it does it.
Steven, I know I've written you into my will. I'm actually writing it to AI Jerry right now. Yeah, they're going to give me cornrows, make me look like Allen Iverson in the AI robot. That's what we're going to do. That's Monday Night Football. Obviously, the big storyline was that Aaron Rodgers lasted a full 8 minutes as a New York Jet.
Not even 8 minutes, Jimmy. It was
just 8 minutes, like in real time. He lasted a series. It was the first series. He got sacked, which we were all talking about after watching Harbaugh. This offensive line is going to get him killed. It did, because he tore his Achilles. He ruptured his Achilles. He's 39 years old. It's rough for a 20-something athlete to come back from. Kevin Durant tore his Achilles, and even though he's still one of the best players in the world, does not look like the same guy. So not only do you not get this season of Aaron Rodgers as the Jets quarterback, it's hard-pressed for me to say, oh, yeah, he's coming back after this. He's definitely going to have the motivation to rehab and play another 3 seasons after recovering from an Achilles on his throwing foot. It's his right foot.
I feel so bad. I really do feel bad for the Jets fans and Tomlin specifically, because the amount of hope. Like I said, like I tweeted out, the amount of time Aaron Rodgers spent in the darkness retreat was longer than the Jets' Super Bowl hopes this season. That's all I'm going to say, because look, I hate to tell you, Jets fans, you're not going to win a Super Bowl with Zach Wilson. You may sneak your way into the playoffs because of how good this team is talented around Zach Wilson, but that's pushing it. But you're not winning a fucking Super Bowl with Zach Wilson.
That defense, now we know for sure, is legit. Quentin Williams,
very good.
They are. Trey Johnson,
very, very good.
They were killing. They made Josh Allen look like crap. Like, I had people in work today talking about Josh Allen as their fantasy quarterbacks. Like, I think he scored 4 points because he had 2 fumbles, 3 interceptions. He threw the 3 interceptions to the same guy. That's how you know he was having a bad day.
The Jets very well may have the best defense in football. Like seriously, and look, this may be an overreaction. And if Aaron Rodgers was fully healthy, the Jets. The Jets have a real shot, because what Garrett Wilson looked like, what Breece Hall.
Did you see that touchdown catch? Tell me you saw the touchdown catch.
Oh, I saw the replay, and what those 2 young guys looked like, and if they had Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy.
Yeah, just think about it. All you need is a quarterback.
I'm sorry, Mike Greenberg. I'm sorry, Jets fans, but like I said, if Aaron Rodgers,
you almost want them to continue playing Zach Wilson and Zach Wilson not to develop, and you're like, okay, play us into that number 1 overall pick, please.
Seriously, please. Jets fans, there's a conversation that needs to be had. Like, do you call Tom Brady? I'm sorry, but there really is.
Would he do that? Would he really play for New York? Why would he play for New York? He has that's not where he's from.
He was about to play for the Dolphins. Let me remind you that. And obviously it's totally different, but
he's also going to become an owner of
conversations are going to need to be had, because this is not a situation with the 49ers where the Brock Purdy is going to be very, very good, and that you have confidence in him going forward. There's zero confidence in Zach Wilson.
The rest of the team was like, oh, we're definitely going to lose. I thank God the defense kept it close, and we were able to return that punt with a BS leg whipping tripping penalty that they missed. That's a penalty. That punt return touchdown, as cool as it was, and I think it's the 3rd ever punt return walk-off in NFL history, overtime history.
Second one at that stadium, by the way. Sean Jackson.
Yeah, second one at that stadium. At least this time it was the home team and not the Eagles that were doing it. But that shouldn't have counted, and they were really, really lucky to be that close. And I don't think Zach Wilson is ever going to – you're never going to be able to be that close. Well, you probably will for a point, but if Zach Wilson starts the game and you go punt, interception, punt, fumble, punt, and then your defense is out there for like 80 plays – you're going to give up more than 13. I'm sorry to say, but it's true.
The only caveat this Jets team has is that this defense is good enough to keep them in ball games, is all I'm going to say.
They're going to have to score like 10 points a game.
Yeah, like they're going to, like, it's going to, like, the under in these Jets games is going to be very, very juicy, is all I'm going to say. Very, very juicy. And look, and another caveat to this is that Aaron Rodgers can stand on the sidelines and actually call plays instead of Nathaniel Hackett, because like I said, Nathaniel Hackett is going to be calling the plays for Zach Wilson now. And it's not Aaron Rodgers calling the plays. So that hopefully him being on the sideline, he can do that for them. But like I said, I feel for Jets fans, but in the end, I don't because y'all are talking too much shit and too much hype. And like I said, you have a rude awakening these first 6 weeks coming up, is all I'm going to say. And with Zach Wilson, your quarterback, Garrett Wilson is the real deal. Brees Hall is the real deal. Quentin Williams, real deal. Sauce Gardner, the real deal. Zach Wilson is not the real deal, buddy. That's all I'm going to say. Zach Wilson is not the real deal.
He's not. And now
look, there should have been a conversation. Like I know it's hindsight's 2020 about getting Trey Lance from San Francisco. Hindsight's 2020, and like they could have thrown him out there, but Zach Wilson is not. Zach Wilson is gonna, if he makes it to the playoffs, leads this team to the playoffs, it's not gonna be hit on his back. Is all I'm gonna say.
I don't see that happening. And I don't, now that we're going to get into week 2 of the pick'em, we were going to have a lot of Jets games, but with Aaron Rodgers no longer in play, I think they're going to probably be flexed out of prime time.
There's 6 primetime games. I'm not watching the Jets on 6 primetime games.
I really hope I don't have to. I really don't want to do that either.
Starting off, thing with the Broncos, like they flex us out a lot of games. They gotta do the same thing. Like,
they'll have to. They're definitely going to. They'll figure out who the best teams are, and we'll probably see a lot of AFC North, NFC West matchups that get flexed into those primetime spots. Last week, Nico started off after our Guess the Bench series. He had a 3-point lead, so he started with 3-0. He ended the week 5-3. He went 2-3 of his actual picks. I ended up going 3-2. So that's where my record is. Nico has a 2-game lead. He's got a 5-3 record. I got a 3-2 record. Starting things off for week 2.
We're only worried about wins. We're not worried about percentage because obviously with my 3-game lead, so it's all wins.
So we're moving now into week 2, Thursday Night Football. The Vikings going to the Eagles. Vikings coming off of a tough loss where they probably should have ended up coming out on top, but Kirk Cousins again. The Eagles didn't kill the Patriots like I thought they were going to. They won respectably, but they could have done a little bit more, put them away. The Eagles are favored by 7.5 points, over under 48.5 for this one. Are you going with the Birds, or are you thinking that Vikings go in and pull off an early season upset on Thursday Night Football?
Jimmy, I lost my survivor pool 2 years in a row on the first week. Guess who I picked?
The Vikings.
These motherfucking Minnesota Vikings against the goddamn Baker Mayfield Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lost. I am not betting with the Vikings. I am going the Eagles the whole way. The Eagles will dismantle this piss poor organization. I hope your girlfriend hears this because that team is.
She wasn't happy about it either.
It's a sad story.
It was a bad weekend for football.
Look, the Bears and the Vikings should be damn ashamed of themselves what Jordan Love and what the Lions are going to do because right now the Packers look like they could still win the division and the Vikings are dead in the water as far as I'm aware. So give me the Eagles. They're going to cover the 7. Don't put me down as covering the 7. Just give me the Eagles winning in general. But yeah, I'm not betting. I am #fade Viking seasons this year is all I'm going to say. That pissed me off more than anything. That fucking Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who are basically shipping it in right now, beat them. So, and look, I didn't do that last year to your Bengals, but I'm pissed off with the Vikings right now. So I'm giving me the Eagles.
Yeah, it's been the Bengals have been also a culprit of that too. I'm going with the Eagles because I'm expecting the Prime rub. This is going to be the first one where it's only exclusively on Prime. The Prime rub. But they do have the Kelsey documentary that came out. We're recording this on Tuesday, so I'm going to have to check that out. But Jason Kelsey's my favorite player. I've been very open about that. So I'd love to see him have a great season. I think his career is wrapping up. I would love to see, if it's not the Bengals hoisting the Lombardi, I want to see Jason Kelsey hoisting the Lombardi. So I'm going with the Eagles also. I also think that over is going to hit because for whatever the Vikings, they still have Justin Jefferson. They'll still score some points. You're not going to get a 40-6 blowout.
That defense is terrible, though, for Minnesota. It's not.
The Minnesota defense is going to be – that's why I'm thinking over is going to hit because the Eagles will score 40 points and they might give up like 15, 17.
I don't know how Harrison Smith is out there still running around being their best player defensively because that defense is so piss poor.
The Catholic guilt? I don't know. He's a former Notre Dame Fighting Irish. That's the only answer I got for you. Next game, starting off with the Bengals again. They'll be in the early slot. They are hosting the Ravens in their home opener. Even after last week, the Ravens coming off of a win. The Bengals obviously getting beat up on a rainy day in Cleveland. The Bengals are still favored by 3 points. I'm hoping that it's a total turnaround. We're going to see the offense finally put it together. I keep hearing, because I listened to the radio guys, I was listening to the radio call a little bit because I was driving around during the game. They keep saying the offense is too good not to click, and I'd like to believe it because with all the talent, and I do think as bad as the offensive line looked, and once they get a little bit more gelled together, Like weeks 1 through 4 were rough for the offensive line. When they went on that winning streak, 10 games down the stretch, almost making it back to the Super Bowl, if they didn't get hurt, that offensive line was playing at a super high level as a unit. So get that congealment, work as a group. You have to at least start the season 1-1 in your division. If you start 0-2 in your division and 0-2 overall, you're just looking at such a steep hill. Playoff seeding matters. So I'm hoping that the Bengals are going to turn it around. I'm not willing to get off that train yet. I'm going to be wearing my jersey once again. I'm not going to be wearing the Burrow one. I wore the Burrow one last week, so that one's out of commission for a little bit, but I will be wearing my jersey. I'm taking the Bengals. What are you thinking about the Ravens-Bengals game?
Look, the Ravens now, J.K. Dobbins out for the year. Another guy that went down with a bad injury. That's going to be a very big blow for them. Gus Edwards, obviously, the new RB1. Zay Flowers looked very good. I will say that. Obviously, look, it's the Texans. The Texans are a very young team, but they do have some interesting young pieces, is all I'll say. But Lamar Jackson looked a lot better. And look, take what you want about the Texans. The Ravens did dominate that game. They didn't give them much life. And just based upon what I saw week 1, like I tend to go with the hotter team and what I saw after week 1, and that's the only reason why I want to pick the Ravens here. I like I said, I want the Bengals to prove me wrong. That's the most important thing. I want them to prove me wrong. Like I said, this is a business, and I want to win. And after what the Bengals did to you and me last week, more specifically you, I want to see them prove me wrong. So I'm going to go with the Ravens here on the road. So
it got so bad. I tweeted at the end of the game, just put 40 on them. Give them everything they deserve. It's like when you're watching a fight and the one guy's not even fighting back. Just finish him. Hit him with the finishing move and let's get out. Put 40 on him. Let's take this home. We can wear that. I'm hoping that it gets turned around, but I'm sticking with the Bengals.
Too, for your sake. I'm picking the Ravens only because of trends.
I get it. It's probably a smarter pick, especially because the Bengals don't have a great track record of turning it around right away in week 2. Moving to your team, they're hosting the Commanders, 2 home games to start the season. They are still favored by 3.5, same line that they had against the Raiders last week. 40.5 is the over-under. 40.5. We dropped 8 points from the first game to this game.
That may be the under again. That's all I'm going to say. It's wild, but that may be the under again. I'm picking the Broncos. I don't think we lose the Commanders, but I think that the under. Look, if we lose this week, start shipping the season. Is all I'm going to say. I'm not picking against them because, like I said, hopefully I'll be able to go to the game, but it'll be time to start shipping shit in. So let's hope that they can get this figured out. Is all I'm gonna say. And what a better comeback game against the Commanders. Huh? So we'll see. And like I said, it's not the same old Commanders. They're a better defensive team, and they have some pieces offensively that do scare you in Jahan Dotson, Brian Robinson, and obviously Scary Terry. So we'll see what this team is made of. And I'm gonna go with the Broncos, hoping to not break my heart and back-to-back weekends where the last weekend we lost. I walked off the field and I looked at the Broncos score and I was like, sick. Back-to-back losses on Sunday for the Woods and the Broncos. So please don't do this to me again, Broncos. Where I'll already be looking forward to basketball season. Don't do that to me, please.
I am also going to be picking the Broncos. I'll just put it up because you mentioned basketball. There you go. Make you feel better a little bit because we don't have to talk about the Broncos all that much. I am on Denver. I will say I can see a world just on the off chance. It's a very slight chance. But wouldn't it be hilarious, not hilarious, but like ironic if Sam Howell comes in and outduels Russell Wilson as a quarterback and leads the Commanders to a win on the road?
I'd laugh.
Two back-to-back wins on the road because they won in Arizona last weekend.
Yeah, but it's the fucking Arizona is the biggest shit show in the world.
I'm not expecting it to happen. I'm just putting that out there into the universe just to maybe jinx that one.
That's why I have more confidence in this week.
Yeah. Sunday Night Football, we got 3 more games because there is a doubleheader for Monday night. Sunday night is an AFC East matchup. The Dolphins, after a 2-point win over the Chargers, 36-34, go up against the Patriots, who we already mentioned. They lost to the Eagles 25-20, I believe, was the final score of that one. Over-under for this game is 45.5. The Dolphins did look like, Tyreek Hill, I said it on Talking the Gridiron, Tyreek Hill in September is the cheat code. That's when he's the biggest problem because the fields are all nice. They don't have to worry about weather, and the Dolphins can be really fast. Mike McDaniel early on in the season last year had great schemes, and I just didn't see enough out of the Patriots to give me that much faith in them. So as much as I don't really like Tua, and I'm not a part of Tuanon or any of these other groups that think that Miami is actually legit, I do think that they're legit enough to beat the New England Patriots, who I believe we both picked to finish last in the AFC East.
I'm picking the Dolphins too. And look, Tua's jiu-jitsu practice over the long summer looks like it's helped, Jimmy. Like did you see the way he's falling? It's a lot smoother. It's weird.
He's not bouncing his head off the turf every time. That's good.
But he got that goal from it. And look,
normally you learn to put your hands down when you fall when you're 3, but he had to learn when he was 23.
Exactly, and a little jiu-jitsu practice helped. I guess obviously it's weird that
it's a good thing your dad's not there because he'd be giving you shit for laughing at it. He's like, yeah, jiu-jitsu definitely helped. What are you talking about?
It is so funny though that's what it came down to, but it's helped. And like I said, he's taking falls that are a lot easier on his body, and maybe more quarterbacks need to do jiu-jitsu, and that's the new thing to learn how to fall. But I'm taking the Dolphins. The Dolphins look like a much better team overall, and look like I said, Tua looks very, very good. Tua looks very, very good. And like I said, having 2 weapons in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, like that's more than the Patriots are going to be able to. That's more than anything the Patriots are going to be able to handle. So, and look, that defense did look pretty good in my opinion. That defense did look very good for the Dolphins. So give me the Dolphins and Tua.
And jiu-jitsu
Tua.
Jiu-jitsu Tua. Tua. Nope. I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out towards the end of the season. Jiu-jitsu. That's it. Jiu-jitsu. No, and Justin Herbert's such a better quarterback than Mac Jones. That defense isn't going to give up 34 points to New England.
Yeah. Well, you mean Tua was a much better quarterback than Mac Jones?
No, Justin Herbert, because the defense for Miami gave up 34 last week.
Yeah,
that was to Justin Herbert. It's not going to be the same story when they go up against Mac Jones and the Patriots and whoever they decide to. Bill O'Brien, offensive coordinator. Yeah, it's not Houston Bill O'Brien. That's all I'm going to say.
It is not.
First of the Monday night doubleheader, Saints at Panthers. Saints are favored by 3. The over-under for this one. This is a Monday night game.
What the fuck? What, Jimmy? What?
40.5 is the over-under. Oh, the other one I wouldn't say is much better, but
what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Everybody got to get everybody gets a participation
Oh my
trophy.
God!
Everybody gets the primetime game.
Monday night football game. Oh, that is horrendous. Sorry, keep going with what you're saying, but I did not know that was the Monday night game. Like I said,
that's
football at all, but
it's disgusting. You're just gonna have to pick this one because it's a primetime game. But this is not one. I'm gonna be at football practice by the time this game is going on. I'm just hoping to catch the second one.
You won't be missing much as long.
No, I don't think I will be either. 40.5 is the over-under for this one too. I would say the under is probably gonna hit in this as well.
What happened to those two teams?
Panthers lost because
Saints beat the Titans. The Panthers lost,
but the Saints and Titans game was close. The Saints didn't look great. I'd say Dennis Allen probably has the guys going in more of a direction than I don't even remember who they have in Carolina. It's just bad football. So I'm going to go with the Saints just because I know a little bit more about them, but it's not something that I'm looking forward to. What are your thoughts?
Oh man, I'll go the Panthers. Screw it. I'll be different here.
They have a couple every now and then where they surprise you.
Are the Panthers at home too?
Panthers are at home. Saints are favored by 3 on the road. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, give me the Panthers. I guess I don't know. The Saints. I have more faith in. I picked the Saints to win their division. It's just such a hideous game that I'm touching it with a 10-foot pole is all I'm gonna say. So for that matter, just give me Bryce Young first home game. Is it the first home game? Yeah, it's first home game.
Yeah,
so getting it at home.
That first of many Derek Carr versus.
I'm pretty sure he was throwing to his agent out there, Johnny Manziel reference, because of how many injured receivers they had. Because Thielen was injured, I think their other receiver was injured. I don't know who the number 2 was, but he's basically throwing to homeless people out there. So hopefully Bryce Young can turn it around. So give me the Panthers.
Kendall Hinton, what are you doing out there? Last Monday night football game, Browns at the Steelers. Browns are favored by 1.
See, that's
Yeah.
less of a disgusting game. It's more of a disgusting game for you. But I think
Yeah.
that's actually a halfway decent game because of the historics of it. But
And the Browns like to think that they're the Steelers' rival. They just like to insert themselves in rivalry contention. Their natural rivals, obviously the Bengals. We don't get that matchup again for 17 weeks. AFC North, weird how they have back-to-back the 3 out of 4 divisional matchups within the first 2 weeks of the season. Steelers did not look good. Tomlin and
look
Pickett.
bad, Jimmy.
Yeah,
Bad.
well, but
Not
here's
good.
the thing.
It's putting it nicely.
49ers are
Bad.
a damn good team. 49ers, we
Yes.
forgot. When they have a competent quarterback, Kyle Shanahan, that offense, that roster, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel wasn't the biggest issue. Brandon Ayuk was, or Christian McCaffrey. And that offensive line is still really good. Nick Bosa rushes a passer like nobody else. That defense, Fred Warner, you can definitely skew it a little bit. You can take a little bit off of that. But Deshaun Watson, like I said, didn't look awful against the Bengals, as much as it pains me to say.
Look, I'm going to stop you right there. We're not going to say anything good about that man ever.
Just that he didn't look bad. I'm not saying he looked good, but he didn't look bad.
Myles Garrett in that defense made the Bengals look silly, is all I'll say. That's my biggest takeaway here, is that they made them look silly, and fucking Kenny Pickett and walking into is it in Cleveland or is it in Pittsburgh?
It's in Pittsburgh.
Oh, that makes me want to go Pittsburgh here. The defense for the Browns is much tougher, is all I'll say. And Nick Chubb still running the ball is a very, very good element for that team. Fuck it. I'll go Cleveland. Like I said, Cleveland showed me a lot last week, and maybe that's a good omen for Cleveland being good. We'll see, but I'm gonna go Cleveland here. Pittsburgh, like I said, it's a prove it to me week again for Pittsburgh. Same thing with your Bengals. It's like you scored 7 points. That team, like if the Steelers are who they think they are, possibly a team that could make the playoffs, then you need to prove it to me against a team that handled another division opponent. So I'm gonna go the Browns here. I hate it, but I'm gonna go the Browns.
I'm also picking the Browns because as much as I don't like what they stand for and what that predator does at quarterback, the Steelers had a predator at quarterback for much longer. That made my life actually a living hell. So I'm still going to stick with Cleveland. I'm not ever going to pick the Steelers on this show or on Talking the Gridiron. It's my one stance, one line. I won't cross it. So we have 2 games where there's possible movement. You pick the Ravens. I pick the Bengals. You pick the Panthers. I pick the Saints. The rest we're in lockstep. So hopefully we have a great week. And I win all of my games, and you end up I get those 2 games back finally. You had 2 games on me. If I go undefeated, that means that I get those games back, and it's a tie ball game. I'm in this one. I'm winning this pick.
I don't feel confident. I really don't. I don't feel confident in the Ravens, and I don't feel confident in the Panthers. So if we're tied, I would not be surprised.
It'd be better for the show. I want it to be close. I don't want you to have to win it like week 5 again, and I'm not going to do that to myself. But that's week 2 of the pick'em. You got anything else? I think we're probably at a good spot. Obviously, when basketball and hockey, those sports are starting to get ready to come back. The Avs been moved.
Thomas Tatar. That's going to be. We're going to get sick and tired of saying that all year.
I have YouTube TV. I might be able to watch Avalanche games this year. You got to look for the silver linings where you can.
We're on national TV for like 40 games, I think, and same with the Nuggets. Where like each team has like 30, 40 nationally televised games, which is fucking sick. Is all I'm going to say.
I'll take it.
Easy for you, so
I couldn't watch either team. I don't like to use the streams, especially on like our family TV.
And one other thing, what the fuck is Israel Adesanya doing? Losing to Sean Strickland? Are we serious right now? I didn't watch it, but I woke up because
2 overhand rights. That's all it took.
East Coast fucking watching sports is horrendous. By the way, we live in the best time zone to watch sports all day. Is all I'm gonna say. Because I fell asleep and look, that fight went off at 12 o'clock at night, and I was like, I'm not staying up for this. So I fell asleep, and I woke up and I was like, no shot, Sean Strickland just beat him, right? And then I was like, wow.
Ooh,
wow.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Look, good for Sean Strickland, but Izzy's legacy is deteriorating very, very quickly. Is all I'm gonna say. Very, very quickly. Like I can't look. He's not touching John Jones' status. He's not touching Khabib status. He's not touching the Usman and him probably level right now. He's never. People were saying he's the next Anderson Silva. He's never touching that status. Anderson Silva would have never done that performance. Is all I'm gonna say. So, Izzy has some big time soul searching. Is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it was a weird weekend for UFC. Obviously, we're about wrapping up this show. Check out Top of the Mountain coming out either Thursday or Friday. Rev and Dom were on with me last week, and then I'll have Sunday Scaries back on Sunday. Those will both be live shows. I'll be on Talking the Gridiron. It'll be back to its normal time, 7:45 Mountain Standard Time. Like Nico was saying, Mountain Time is the best time. So I'll be able to get in, chat with the boys, see who's on, and hopefully we got some good games to talk about. But that is what we have coming up for the rest of the week. Nico, any other words of wisdom before we send it off into the outro video and let people go home and go on with the rest of their week?
I'm very thankful for the season with the Redwoods. I'm excited to look going forward. Is the last thing I'll say. And like I said, it's sometimes you have to fall to get yourself to the promised land. So hopefully this is a good omen for things to come. But like I said, it was a great season. Unfortunate the way it ended, but I'm very, very proud to be a Wood. And hopefully a Denver Wood is all I'm gonna say. Hopefully
Roll Woods. That's a good place to end this. For myself, Jimmy Pilato, my co-host Nico Bryant, thank you guys very much for tuning in to episode 151 of the Far End of the Bench podcast. We will see you guys next time.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.